I think AI advancements will keep happening. And I always say one thing is, and a lot of times I've been asked this question, do you think the roles of people going to be on threat? And the answer is no. Because
This is sponsored by the GTM AI Academy and AI-powered GTM, where we bring you insights, interviews, and all the latest knowledge needed to thrive with go-to-market and AI. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It is I, Coach K, and I'm really excited because I usually get to talk to people one-on-one, which is always good. But today I got the Kroolo team with me. So I got Mr. Shashank, Katie, Steve, all with me hanging out. How are you through?
Hey, Jonathan. Good morning.
great, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, John.
So-
Thanks for having us here.
Yeah, I love it. I've been having some meetings with your team the last month or so since we connected, which has been a lot of fun to get to know you and want to have you on. So I'm really excited. And as this drops, we're coming into your year anniversary, which we'll get into in a second. But before we do, if we could do a quick intro. So ladies first, Katie, let's have you go. Then Steve will end with Shashank and we'll do quick intros. We'll dive in, if that's okay.
Very chivalrous. Thank you, Jonathan.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
I'm Katie Wade. I am head of product at Kroolo, and we're really excited to be here. We've been having some conversations with Jonathan in and around how he speaks to his audience and helps to educate them around AI use cases. And we
Yeah,
saw a lot of alignment there. So we're happy to connect.
it'll be fun.
And my name's Stephen MacNeil. I'm one of the founding account executives at Kroolo. Just really excited to be a part of this team. There's so much excitement and energy around it. So I'm just happy that, Jonathan, you're willing to take a look at this thing today. So
Like, yeah.
thank you.
And guys, hi, my name is Shashank Singh. I'm the founder and CEO of Kroolo. When my team is happy, I'm super happy. So yeah, and Jonathan, thanks for having us here. And I'm really looking forward to some amazing conversation as we get along. Thank you.
I love it. I'm going to start the question with you, Shashank, around history, because what I love to do is that obviously I could go through and rattle off all of your LinkedIn history, but I'll let people do that on their own because they're very smart to do that. What I want to hear is the story of you that's not on LinkedIn. So what is the version of how you got here and why this is the path you chose to go down of this AI craziness, which I love, by the way. I'm just always curious of like how people got to where they are now. Can you fill me in on that and why you started Kroolo?
And actually, I come from an era which is, I think, seen the entire spectrum of the tech world, all the way from Y2K to .com to, the web 2.0 to 3.0 to blockchain. So I think what sort of kept me always excited is as you see the tech evolving all the way from 1997 till now, till today, right? Technology has evolved. There was a cyclic curve where technology was evolving every 5-6 years. Then it took the evolution curve of 2 to 3 years. And now it's every 6 months, right? Technology is evolving, adapting at a very rapid pace itself, right? And I think productivity is such a massive market. Now we're talking about a potential $1 trillion industry here, right? And fortunately, unfortunately, it's overly crowded as well, but everybody's speaking about productivity. But the unfortunate setup is everybody has a very different language as to speaking of productivity. Teams are remote, teams are connected, teams are in office. And that's what I think kept us very excited that now we're able to bring something exciting in this landscape with a very integrated and cohesive AI ecosystem around this. I think we have a pretty solid play for the future itself. So yeah, I come from an industry which is very tech and consulting led from 25 years or so. And I think I can't emphasize that it couldn't have been the best of the time in terms of how AI is coming and taking the main stage, and productivity is where all the tech companies are speaking about this. So super excited in this space, and I see a great potential as you get launched. So
I love it. So of all the tech, because you've been around, and it's funny you bring up Y2K, because I literally had a conversation yesterday with someone about this. I'm like, I remember how I was freaking out about Y2K back in the day, which is funny. But with the tool now, Kroolo, like of all the things you could have gone into with AI, you chose that particular thing. So if you can, Shashank, tell me first off, what is Kroolo? And then why is that the focus you decided to go to as far as the problem you're solving? That's okay.
I think all of us understands this pain. It doesn't matter what industry you sit on to, financial services, retail, FMCG, consulting, doesn't matter, right? We all consume a lot of tools. Right? I'm not going to name them, but averagely we did a very extensive research. We end up using 5 or 6 tools every day. And as the sort of team getting more and more remote, this problem statement is getting more and more evident. I know people are getting more tool centric. They're getting more and more siloed in nature, if that's the right word, right? So with so much of siloed ecosystem in the enterprises, right? Productivity loss is very colossal. Depends on how large the organization is, right? There was a research done very recently, is on average, there's a couple of billion productivity hours got lost every month.
Yeah.
Talking about a very serious amount of, siloed ecosystem and loss of productivity because of people doing everything manually, or in this multiple order of things itself, right? And that's what I think the genesis of Kroolo became. That became a centered, the way it became an AI native platforms to solve the fundamental productivity problem of the teams. Doesn't matter your marketing team, engineering team, product team, or so on and so forth, right? Our vision and our mission is to make you more productive, more efficient, more faster, better with the native use of AI tools itself, right? So
Yeah.
we started a journey not very long time back in Q4 last year, and we are now a few days away from a first year completion. But
Yeah.
yeah, so super excited.
If you put yourself in a category, and I know this might be a difficult question because with AI, there's a lot of categories being created. So maybe it's your own category. But like where would people, if they put you into a bucket, because there's so many things to do with AI, from AI prospecting to AI market creation to all this stuff, where would you put your tool at as far as a category?
It is very much productivity and collaboration. That's where our segment sits into. So if you want to compare with somebody else, it'd be like Atlassian or Monday.com or ClickUp or Slack.
Yeah.
That's where our native product ecosystem sits. As I said, want to make people highly productive and highly collaborative, and they don't have to switch across these multiple tools. So that's where the space we have chosen.
I love it. So I'm going to aim this one at you, Katie, and we'll come back to you, Shashank, to get your thoughts afterwards. But one thing you mentioned before was the platform is AI native. So
Right.
we hear this a lot because there's a lot of legacy tools like some of the ones you listed off that bolt on, quote unquote, some APIs from OpenAI or whatever AI tool to give it some of that functionality of AI. But it's definitely not the same as having an AI native platform. So, Katie, if you don't mind, and Shashank, you can add your thoughts afterwards. What is the difference between an AI native platform and versus one that's just bolting on some AI capabilities?
Yeah, definitely. So I loved what Shashank talked on there or spoke about there. And I think one of the interesting things that always pops into my mind is the irony of how
Yeah.
malproductive the productivity space has become.
Yeah.
And it's been in an effort to get closer and closer to their exact persona, what their exact persona needs, throwing away the idea about the rest of the organization and how they're going to collaborate with that team. But yeah,
Right.
I always want to add, it just is funny to me how it's become the antithesis of productivity. But yeah, in terms of AI native, what you're going to see with the solutions that have this completely solidified code base, have been around for a significant period of time,
Yeah.
have significant install base, is that they just can't move as quickly. So they're not going to be able to rip and replace things inside of their platform because of that install base. You can only make so many changes. And they
Right.
didn't come on the scene when these API calls out to AI were as easy to integrate as they are now. So it's going to be something going forward that's much more difficult for them to expand. So what they've done
Mm,
is, in our minds, a bit of a checkbox to say, yes, we offer AI. So they offer AI in the way that I mentioned previously, which is the user is going to have some understanding about how to use AI, when to use AI, where in the tool to navigate to use AI. So it's
yeah.
likely they're not going to adopt it as a really reflex part of their day-to-day workflows because of that.
Right.
Whereas ours has, as I mentioned, AI is interwoven. And so that's a big part of difference between the back end is that we have API calls to AI everywhere on the back end. We'll always be able to increase that because of the way that it's built. But from the user's perspective, which is what we're most concerned with, they don't have to think about it. And so they're interacting inside of Kroolo with Kroolo, asking questions, and they don't have to think about, is this AI or not? They're asking it to
Mm,
produce a piece of content for them. They're asking Kroolo to give them, a summary of how a project is going, which typically would have been a report that you generate, and instantly they hear everything about it. So it's a different way of thinking about it, and I would love it if they didn't have to think about the difference between AI and not AI.
totally. Totally get it. Any thoughts to add to that? Shashank, I have a couple questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to extend to what Katie says, and this is not a critique remark, but if you look at if you go deep into tech ecosystems of most of the so-called AI companies, they are so much bolt on to one specific AI ecosystem, and most of them OpenAI, right?
Yeah.
For whatever matter, if Mr. Sam Altman moves on again, Alex and the it's very evident that 80 or 90% of the AI companies will even struggle to even exist. What we have done at an architectural level, and this is something which we are very proud from an engineering and probably one of its best of its kind, is we became large language model neutral, which means we have already connected with best of the breeds of large language models and platform itself. And platform automatically decides which LLM is best suited to respond. So for whatever reason, if OpenAI is underperforming, we can direct the traffic into Claude. If Claude is performing, we can direct traffic to Llama, for the matter with Gemini as well, which I have not seen any of the productivity platforms which exist today has that capability, which has truly become LLM agnostic. It becomes a power. You kind of consumer gets the best of all the worlds. So that's where I think that's called the nativeness of the AI itself, which means that if the evolution of certain AI platform does better and better, how would a platform like us, which is nothing but like an orchestration platform on top of the LLMs, right, get the best of the evolution and best of the knowledge back into the consumers, right? So the first version of that is already out, and we're heavily investing into sort of getting one next upgrade itself. Yeah, that's what I will call it native, that it's not forced onto one sector or one model. As the model keeps evolving, we evolve together with them, and consumer kind of gets the best in the world. So
I love it. So couple of questions. Maybe it's more of a follow-up. So we talked really about a use case, because now I'm thinking, okay, let's just say that there's benefits, obviously, which there is, to having an AI native platform. What would be, if you can share, and this could be anonymous, a customer you've had that as a result of the platform, and obviously I want to help promote you guys, but just in general, the benefits of AI native type platforms and why you'd want to do that? What kind of results were they seeing? And what I would love to hear is have you tell me that from the lens of both the individual contributor and then from like leadership or people above to even have a tool like this in the first place. Does that make sense? Hopefully.
I believe
And
so.
yeah. And go ahead. I'll have you, Katie, and we'll go to Shashank. And if Steve, I'll let you chime in too after this one if you have any thoughts.
So just to clarify, you're looking for native specifically where they're seeing the benefits of you.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably just talk about your platform in general because it's just AI native. But what kind of results are they seeing that is a benefit of an AI native platform like Kroolo with yours specifically in a use case that may
Sure.
be beneficial?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And so I would say just adoption, right? There a huge problem with bringing on all of these tools, and part of the malproductivity issue that exists in the productivity space is so
Right.
many great ideas, so many specialized tools. Users are absolutely throw their laptops, sick of learning about new tools, having to come up to speed, having to integrate them with their other solutions. And so, I almost think we're at a space now where if it's not as easy as pulling your iPhone out of an iPhone box, turning it on, and just intuitively understanding how to work it,
Yep.
people just
Mhm.
don't want to do it anymore. They're like, I have enough solutions. And so,
Yep.
with the AI native component, where this is a big hurdle to get people to understand what AI is, where it's safe, the things maybe you would need to think about. They've got these concepts of hallucination. And so that's a very
Yep.
large hurdle to get them over that hump of understanding when and where to use it, where you want to be double checking it. And so once you've used Kroolo for a few minutes, just like an iPhone out of the box, easy, you get it. There's not this big onboarding process. You're not going to need training. It's going to be crystal clear as soon as you're inside of the environment. We were ruthless with the design of the UI and needing it to be something that would be that easy. So I think adoption is the biggest part. And so from a user, that's going to look like immediate ease of use and actually enjoyment of use, where things that used to take them several hours are done in seconds and more thoroughly than they would have been able to do them before. So there's this big feel good boost of confidence. They got something done really quickly and effectively. So that's for the user. And then I would say for the executive suite, it's that it is a far more cost effective implementation to have less tools. I think we would all agree on that. And so when you've
Right.
got folks adopting something like Kroolo, enjoying using it. It's sticky. You can see based on user activity inside of Kroolo where it's being used by your users. So we show them, we don't show them that when it's time for renewal. We show them that all the time. They can go in and
Yeah.
see, are users using Kroolo the way that we anticipated? Is it really replacing all the tools we hoped it would? So they're able to see that
Yeah.
right off the bat as well. And it gives them good confidence that they made the right decision and that they really didn't need a 5 solution integration in place.
Cool. I love that. Anything to ask you, Shank? And then Steve, do you if you have anything?
Yeah, I think one thing we've seen very good feedback coming is because every enterprises have this struggle of having the number of meetings, man. It's just it's too
Yeah.
many meetings just to have an update. And I think we have shown results that we will reduce the number of meetings by 60%, which means the platform is intelligent enough where agents could be trained and deployed. And whatever we normally ask these questions in a traditional stand-ups and meetings, those could be answered by pre-trained, co-piloted agents itself, right? So that's a massive stuff. We put that multiplied by number of man hours, maybe we're talking about colossal productivity gains itself, right? Just by
Right.
reducing the number of meetings, right? And third one, I think is what Katie says, that since the adoption and the understanding of platform is so rich and so quick, intuitively we look at, and this is how the problem state with a lot of these incumbent platforms is buying is easy, trade making is the most difficult, right? So
Right.
we're able to short that adoption cycle by days for us, is as what Katie says, just open the iPhone box and it's up and running. It's a
There you
matter of
go.
hours now, right? So that's what I think has been a pretty good accolade for us as we get along. So
I love it. Steve, any thoughts, my bald brother? If listening on audio, Steve's my bald brother in the call. So there you go. Go ahead.
No,
bud.
all I could do, Jonathan, is really mirror what Katie and Shashank had mentioned. Really, one of the things that I hear a lot about with clients is that when they implement a technology, regardless of how many features, it's the adoption, right? It's how long it takes to get implemented. And that's really where the jaw drop occurs when they look at Kroolo, is that, wow, with the amount of features that you have and the ease of use, it's really how easy it is to implement. And that's key. That's been key in my whole career, is that you're only going to establish the right ROI model if you can actually utilize the technology effectively and quickly. So yeah, that's the one thing that really resonates with me.
No, I love it.
And
Well, I had think you were saying that because I was going to ask you a question, Steve. I'll ask you this first, and I have another one to ask that just pop up during this conversation. So for you, Steve, as the founding AE, I know we talked before about some of your history and what you've done in the past. What is the behavior change, or what's the thing that's changed for you as a result of an AI native tool like that, where you have a centralized place for stuff? Because this is the kind of thing that I don't think we talk enough about, is the individual impact on it. And obviously, you'd be an ideal use case to say, what is? I know you sell for Kroolo, but honestly and genuinely, what do you do on a day-to-day basis that's different now with a tool like this versus than before? Does that make sense?
you know what? I hate to say it, but it's really relying on the AI to get me through my day, right? I mean,
Hate to say it, that's great.
It's crazy to say, but it's really, I would spend so much time utilizing my creative mind to figure out something,
Yeah.
when now it's just all about asking a question. And you resorted back to, if it's, hey, how do you spell that, Google? It's just,
Right.
it tends to dumb you down, but it's such a creative tool, and it's just going to really take you to the next level.
I agree with you. And
Lot.
I think a lot of our users feel that way. They feel like it's cheating, but it wasn't cheating when we stopped looking things up in the encyclopedia and started to use Google. It was technology. And for as many ways as technology maybe makes our lives more complicated, in this instance, it's a massive help. And I feel the same way, Steve. I'm like, oh my, am I getting less creative, particularly with my writing? But then I always go back to, no, because if you're putting your concept is there in the seed of your query. So the
Yep.
intelligence is still there. You just don't have to take hours to nitpick and flesh it all out. So I just think of
Yep.
it as a copywriter when I worry that I'm losing my edge.
What's funny is the result of AI, I actually feel more creative than before, because that's the thing that AI cannot do for me, is create. Like, it can't create for me thought leadership. It can't create for me all the branding. It can't do all that stuff.
Yep.
But once I have it, like, it can be a great brainstorming partner of saying, hey, let's talk about strategies I want to do, or let's talk about branding or that kind of stuff. But still, I'm the source. I'm the one that has to come up with and decide on the stuff. So from relying on AI, like, I love it for the fact of creativity because then all the piddly do stuff that would have taken me hours to think about, okay, what sentence structure should I use here? And should I put this subject here first or this like this? That kind of stuff took a lot of time before. Now it's just through.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to your
Um,
point, it's the collaboration because you probably would have
yeah.
agonized for 3 sentences if you brought it as an AI. Here's the 2 different ways you could say it. You're like, all
Yeah, pick one and go. Yeah, it's just
right.
it's funny how you didn't realize how much the blank white page problem was until you don't have to face them. Like, this
For
is so nice. I
sure.
don't have to think about this. All
Mhm.
right, let's talk about something that I again didn't come up until literally through this conversation. So please forgive me if this is not trying to get you off guard. So you talk about productivity, which I love because that's a big benefit of AI. But going into this new world, like you all probably know that Sam Altman's talked a lot about agentic type stuff and multi agents and organizational agents and innovation agents and all this other kind of shenanigans. And there's a couple of companies I've talked to where they're literally replacing roles instead of the go-to-market function from sales to sales engineers to marketing to whatever, because an agent can now do half of the tasks that a role could do. I'm curious because your platform is a productive thing. Where's the balance between what does a human do and what does the AI do? And as AI creeps more and more into the productive space, how do you balance that? Make sense? And I'll start with you, Shashank. We'll go to Katie and see if you want.
Yeah, I think this is a very, I will say, a very tricky time, right? So much advances, right, coming up in AI, and AI is getting more and more center stage, right? We have taken a very conscious path, right, to be branding ourselves towards agentic. We are very close in sort of filing our own IPs around this in terms of creating a very specialized agentic workflows around. And think
Yeah.
of agentic around product management, agentic is around engineering, and product around marketing workspaces itself, right? I think AI advancements will keep happening. And I always say one thing is, and a lot of times I've been asked this question, do you think the roles of people going to be on threat? And the answer is no, because the human intelligence is above par anything. You know, anything which is customer centric, anything which is brand thinking, anything which is revolving around creativity, concentration, or whatever, that's what only humans can do, right? What we
Yeah.
can think of this is taking the superpowers of human, they have certain great traits around this, and how we can wrap around a workflow, which is pretty manual, pretty mundane, pretty day-to-day stuff, right? But for that, we don't have to hire interns or a bunch of the guys itself, right? So that's precisely what we're doing is you do the heavy lifting in terms of using the brains, coming with some great sort of customer-facing stuff. Anything which is more backendish, anything which can be triggered via workflows, we'll take care of it using our agentic framework itself, right? And I think that has been an acceptance with the customer saying, I think it makes sense. We're not here to replace jobs. We're here to augment the existing persona of the people which are working. And how are we making their lives better and faster? As I always say, it has to be making life better, not to replace them, right? But I think agentic is why I always joke around with Katie as well, that I always foresee that the future is agentic. If somebody is not betting on agentic, I think making it some serious problem
Yeah.
for future.
Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, before you say something, I'm gonna chime in. So I 3000% agree with you. And I think that as a result of AI, which I think is a really hopefully a good thing, but it'll make the more human side of us more human because a lot of the tasks we've done in the past have been the stuff that should be replaced anyways. It's like I always compare us to the industrial revolution side where before there's a lot of manual work and now there's not as much manual work because you have either have machines or other stuff that take care of the things that we used to have to do 150 years ago.
Mhm.
So, and I'm excited for the world where it's literally just like a human creative playground of saying, okay, all the mundane stuff's taken care of. Go create. That's the world I'm really excited about. But Katie, sorry, I want to make sure I chimed in on you and let you go.
Beautifully stated. No, beautifully stated. And I think of it the exact same way and hope that these kinds of statements, as I said, we can sound fantastical when we're talking about Kroolo, but it's you can have fun at work again. You can pick the most creative parts of what you do and run with those because only you can. And then
Yeah.
let us do the stuff you don't. Well, perfect example of one of the agentic workflows is historically you would want to know how a process operationally was going or a project or something, you would get reports on that regularly. The reports would go up the chain. Decisions would be made about how to optimize based on the report output. You would go back and optimize, right? No one's having fun doing any of that. And so that's
Right.
could easily be replaced is on demand. We're checking and asking this project what's happening and making agentic workflows happen that are a natural, if this, then that. It's replacing something that no one wants to be bothered with. So I absolutely don't think in any sort of stretch of the imagination, unless you're the guy from Office Space when the two, you remember the
Yes.
two Bobs come in and the
Yeah.
Bob's asking everybody, all right, what do you do here? And what do you do here? And this one guy comes in, I can't remember his name, but he comes in and says, when we make decisions, then I take what the engineers have decided and I hand it to the customers. And they're like, okay,
Right.
so you're literally walking this over to a different space of the office, a piece of paper. And he's, yeah, because you can't let engineers talk to customers. I always I think of that guy when we're asked this question because I'm like,
Right.
that guy might be in trouble, but other than that, we're not. I don't think AI is going to
So
take human job.
I love it. Steve, anything to add to that? To those?
No, actually, again, across the board, I'm in agreement 100%. Yeah. So,
Good.
no, yeah.
So want to make sure you chime in if you want to. Okay. We have a couple minutes left. So let me end with, obviously, the website is, make sure I get the right one. I never know if it's Kroolo.com or Kroolo.ai.com. Kroolo, Kroolo.com. Question, you guys are having your year anniversary. So when this comes out, you'll have your year anniversary of being a company, which is really exciting. And Katie, you alluded to some new things coming out. So we're going to give you the first, hopefully I could be the first one to help promote the new stuff. So what's the new things you're excited about to help with the launch?
Sure. We have had AI agents live. They're a core part of our platform. But I
Yeah.
think we're learning a little bit, as I've also alluded to, marketing is difficult because it doesn't sound real what we're offering. It doesn't sound like it's possible.
Right.
And so we're finding that sweet spot. Again, we're trying to get really specific about how we tell the message. But AI agents are what makes Kroolo fantastical. So it's the way in which you can utilize in a framework where you know that you're going to get an incredible answer, an incredible piece of content back, because we went to the trouble to make sure that there was that cushioning around a user, excuse me, specifically around users that maybe have not used AI as much in the past. So the interface has been updated a bit just to look more fun. And we're really proud of how our interface looks and feels. It's very easy to use. It's a distinguisher and a differentiator amongst other products. But yeah, I would say a ton of the work that we've done has been with our AI agents. And so we'll be talking about that a lot with the launch. We've got countless integrations. So any of these solutions that we talked about earlier, replacing, which we absolutely can, we also integrate with. So we've completed the first suite of integrations that we wanted to be able to easily play with inside of Kroolo. And
Love it.
I think those are the big twos that I would talk about. What else did you want to list, Shane?
Yeah, man. I mean, we have a new corporate website going live very soon. So we'll have a new brand associated with that,
New look. Love it.
which is going very soon. We're announcing as well. But I think we are just doubling down on agentic framework. Doubling down means doubling down. And that's what
Yeah.
the future is. That's what the path for us as we get along. I think one other big investments we're also doing is because when you look at AI, there's always a bias in the model. So bias basically means that the response are inclined towards certain way when I ask it.
Right.
And our objective is to remove the biasness in the responses. Yeah. So becomes the user is a very unbiased AI ecosystem around them, which I think it's going to be a very honest and very safe way of technology companies like us is investing into AI tech to keep it very unbiased, secure, and keep it very transparent for consumers to use AI. So very soon
I love
releasing
it.
a version 2 of it. So yeah, coming soon.
Yeah.
Coming soon. Ding, ding. Just to make sure people, I'm going to put some go-to-market thoughts around this so people can understand this. But because I've used the tool itself, I've seen the demo of it. So I'm going to talk in go-to-market terms. Like sales teams can use this kind of like either for, I know, Steve, you could talk about this yourself, but either tracking and cross collaboration between the teams. You have product management just from a product management can help with project management around those things. And that could be and then you have like enablement teams, like with a lot of people who might listening would be like a lot of the training content creation and the accessibility to the rest of the team. So you can share the content. And you talked about some of the tools. So I know Google Docs, Notion, Confluence, Slack, Monday, Asana, Trello, Jira, ClickUp, HubSpot, Airtable. There's so many different ways you could apply the tool because it's really flexible, which I love about the tools. It's not like a siloed thing. It really can be flexible to what someone might want to use. So really
Right.
cool. So I would say to anyone, because I've been using it and I don't get paid for this. So just know I'm not paid to say this, but it's a really cool tool. It's definitely worth like checking it out to see the next level. It's like taking what you're used to in a Monday or a sauna and putting on steroids, which is awesome. So
Thank
I just want
you.
to say that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you get paid in smiles, Jonathan. That's
There you go. This is not a paid podcast. This is for real. I like to
Yeah.
test out tools of people.
That's
So
called disclaimer.
the disclaimer, I'm not paid for this, but I genuinely like to test. I'm a nerd for tools. So I just test out tools all day long, and it's just been fun to play with yours. So I just want to tell you thank you.
good. Great. We're happy you did.
Sure.
Cool. Well, thanks you all. Shank, Steve, Katie, you guys have been great, and we'll see you on the flip side. Thank you.
Yeah. What a
Sure.
pro. Perfectly timed.
Thanks y'all.
John, thanks.
Thanks for listening to the GTM AI podcast. Please follow, subscribe, like, comment, and come back for more.